bring up bring up a story a little bit about RL and regarding the people that helped him out before the Fat Possum days, so that just a real reality check about that, and at the same time being grateful that Fat Possum came into existence for people like RL and Belfour and Junior and other people, that they helped really make them the big time money that people like myself and the smaller promoters couldn't possibly make them. But that he was out there, and Fat Possum was available to have RL join them in in good playing shape, not just from hardly playing. Because I saw this before, where Ariel was, with the summer I spent there in '82, he hardly touched the guitar. I mean, he had other things to do. There were other things on his mind. It was very depressing. He had made a transition from working for at farms and stuff to trying to make his living playing music. But when you have a lot of kids, and you had like 12, 13 kids, and plus extended family, there's maybe like 15, 20 people in a very small, teeny house and near the woods, where there's no electricity. Well, there's electricity, but there's no plumbing. There's no running water. We had to get water at a place down the quarter mile down the road at a woman's named Miss Lenny's house. And I had helped Roll move there from Olive Branch. After I just got there at the beginning of summer of '82. He had just come out west for a tour in California and Oregon. And I was living in Oregon, and I had met him the year before in '81. And although I first heard about him in 1976, when I bought a record of RL's in a used record bin in Eugene, Oregon. I was living on the Oregon coast, and I went there with two young women, so I could check out the school in the community college, because I wanted a little better life than digging ditches and washing dishes. And I could get my dad's Social Security money, because he had passed away, to go to college. And I went with these women, Karen and Tony, and I dropped them off at Pioneer Cemetery at the University of Oregon campus, and I went to look for the record store at a House of Records in Eugene, Oregon. And I knew I wanted a blues record, but I didn't know what exactly. So I just, saw Mississippi Blues, or just put my hand in and just happened to pull out a record called Mississippi Blues Volume 2. And it was R.L. Burnside on one side and Joe Calicott on the other. And it was released by R. Hooley Records. And this is the year I'm talking about is 1975. No, 76. And so with the spring of 76. And I brought the record home and it just blew me away. Both of them did. But Calicott apparently had passed away, I found out later. But R.L. was living, breathing in Mississippi. And I didn't know that until I made a phone call, reading in the record about Annie Mae McDowell, Esther Mae. Anyway, he was married to Annie Mae McDowell, and they recorded. But then he married Esther Mae McDowell, the woman that I met in Mississippi in '78. When I went down there, I called Mississippi Fred McDowell's phone number because I wanted to go through that area to see if I could find R.L. Burnside. And I talked to Mississippi Fred McDowell's wife, Esther Mae McDowell, who I thought was Annie Mae McDowell, because that was on the record, but in the notes. But anyway, she said to stop by, and so I did. And I took my dog Cindy, my black lab setter Cindy, and we drove on down there. And had problems on the road. I was what was I driving? It was an aqua-colored green '69 Pontiac Catalina. Yeah, I got in that car from my foster dad, big Earl Bemis out here. Crazy car. I blew some bearings in Kansas on the road, and nothing but farmhouses for long distance, and I didn't have any AAA, of course, When two has that when they're 22, they just think they're just going to go. No problems. And I had a rider from me, a horrible person that I picked up on the ride board at the University of Oregon, helped me split expenses, and he was off and hitching. He didn't want to wait around. But anyway, somehow I got the thing fixed. And then I'm driving down Interstate 70 or whatever, towards North Mississippi. And I pick up a hitchhiker, and he's got a bunch of weed. And he tells me he's the lead singer with Black Oak, Arkansas. Okay, sure you are. And how much he hates this, and how much he hates these kind of people. No, I'm not going to repeat the names, because you know what I'm talking about. He hates everything that begins with a J and everything that begins with an N. And, well, my family is half Presbyterian and half J, half Jewish. Damn right. I'm from the Ukraine half, and half me is from Ireland and Scotland and England. And I'm listening to the son bitch talking, I'm thinking, okay, I got both sides of me that hate each other, and you hate everything. Okay, fine, motherfucker. Okay, and anyway, I just kept cruising with him, and he says, he's just hitching up and down between Kansas. He's just going from one end to the other end. Okay, fine. I keep driving though when we leave Kansas into Missouri, and then keep on driving, and finally I got rid of him, when I'm going south. And I said, oh yeah, I've got to meet, I'm looking for some black blues players down that way, and he goes, oh, whatever. And I sure dropped that son of a bitch off, and kept going down south, and then I got to the store where Miss McDowell said to ask for directions to her house, and so I did, and it was a little house trailer, and Fred McDowell was able to get that house trailer because I believe he used the royalty monies from money he made off You Got to Move from Keith Richards recorded that. Rolling Stones recorded that song. Keith Richards learned the song from Fred McDowell, and they used his version on the album Sticky Fingers. So he was able to use that money to buy this house trailer that I was visiting Fred McDowell's wife in, Mississippi Fred McDowell's wife in. And anyway, I met her. It was nice talking to her. Not too much to say, but I spent a while there and had coffee. Told her how much I respected her husband, Mississippi Fred McDowell. And then went on in town in Como and got a motel room. And the dog and I, Cindy and I, just spent the night. The next morning, I'm going to leave. I'm heading towards Atlanta to see if I can find work with my brother-in-law's brother, doing something. If not, I've got to go back up to Northern Virginia, where my mom lives still, and look for something there. But I was trying to stay away from there because that's where trouble was, old friends. But anyway, so I come out of the motel room in the morning, and I see these two gentlemen, African-American gentlemen, at that time, black gentlemen, talking, older people. They had these big, old, beat-up luxury cars. I think it was two LTDs, and, the driver's sides were next to each other. And I said, oh, excuse me, do you happen to know where I could find R.L. Burnside? I'm just looking for other blues players around here. And Curtis, a man named Curtis Abrams, introduced himself, and he says, first he says, I don't know, but maybe, what about Ultra Turner? Ultra Turner, you may have seen him on TV. And I said, well, I have to say I haven't, but, who's Ultra? And then he said, I'll take you out then. I said, I just ordered some breakfast. Can I, do you have time yeah, you just go ahead, eat your breakfast and come on out. Okay, so I go back in there, and this slimy waitress, older, middle-aged, overeating waitress, says, it take a little while. So I don't know if they saw me talking to these guys or not, but they had the attitude, she had the attitude, and it took way too long to get this food. And by the time I got to ready to leave and get my stuff together, he wasn't too thrilled about it. He had dropped his wife off to work at that motel. But he was cool, but the other man split. And Curtis said, oh, okay, just follow me. And so I followed him, and I was feeling really crummy about making him wait so long, probably an hour, but he was there. He didn't leave. He was there. And I followed him, and then we stopped at his house, and he dropped his little granddaughter off, and there was a pony there, and a big kind of pony, and I was just pretty skinny 22-year-old, and I said, hey, can I try to ride that pony? And he goes, yeah, sure. And he's smiling, and I said, oh, okay. He doesn't have a saddle on, of course, or anything. It's really his granddaughter's pony, but she doesn't ride it. She's just two. So I get on the thing, and it bucks around and messes around, and I'm trying to get on again and again and again. And Curtis and meanwhile just laughing. He gets me some cold water, and he says, oh, okay, let's go to Uther. And I said, by that time I had enough of that pony. And so, all right, so I follow him to Uther Turner. He's running down the highway. He knows the road, and I'm just crazy trying to follow him. And so we get to Uther Turner's place, and he goes, Turner, where are you? And he goes, and I hear this voice from inside this outhouse, and then in front of me there's a mule hooked up to there's a mule, and it's hooked up. He's been plowing his field with a mule, and I'm not a farmer. I don't know what. It's a mule hooked up to a plow. That's right. So, anyways, Turner, where is you? And he says, well, just a damn minute, Abram. And he comes out, zipping up his clothes, zipping up his overalls, and he says, hey, can't you let a man in peace? And he goes, hey, this here's John, and he introduced me. And he's looking for R.L. Burnside, and then this man, kind of old, weathered gentleman, he goes, who the hell, like he's looking at me like, who the hell are you? These white people, they're like nothing but flies bugging me. Well, okay, well, I told him you play, Reverend Curtis Abram, who later turned into a reverend, said, yeah, I play, he says to me. I said, I surely like to hear you play, Mr. Turner. And he goes, well, just a minute. And he goes inside the house and comes back out with a sugarcane fife. And I made this fife myself. And I made this thing. He's with the Como Fife and Drum Band. And so he played Can't Stand No Cheating. So the Little Walter song, and many people have done it. Can't Stand No Cheating, Can't Stand No Midnight Creeping. And it was just so cool to hear this fife being played by Mr. Otha Turner. And that's spelled O-T-H-A Turner, if you want to look him up. And he said, he knew where Orwell was. I got the idea, but he wasn't so sure. And I was kind of, and he was more, Orwell, I guess, if anything, was more towards the further west, 20 or 30 miles. And I was kind of anxious to get towards Atlanta, and try to see about work. So, I thanked these gentlemen, and actually it stopped. The reason why everything stopped was because another big old luxury car with Missouri license plates, it drove up to on Otha Turner's driveway, road, and a young gentleman in a coat and tie, black gentleman, kid, really, maybe 18, 20, young man, gets out and opens the passenger's door, and a very large woman with a bonnet, with flowers, I believe, on it, and gets out with a stick. And then it's a relative of Luther's, so he has to stop, talking to me and go, divert his attention to his family. And, I realized, well, Missouri, it's not that far away, really, because it was North Mississippi, and then there's that little piece of Tennessee, maybe 70, 100 miles from top to bottom, and then there's Missouri. So all this culture kind of meets, Midwestern, Mississippi River culture, down the river to Memphis, and then there's the Delta in Mississippi, and then further, into emptying out in New Orleans. So it's like you have this Missouri was a supporter, say, in the war, in the Civil War. So you have, like, maybe the northern Missouri part, which is more urban, maybe, or not urban, but anyway, you have this river culture and getting into the Delta, getting into the all kind of blending into the hill country, North Mississippi, and so you have this Midwestern and South culture kind of all coming together, and then getting into the Deep South in Mississippi. So it's pretty cool, melting pot of different people. And most of it seemed to me, African American. There was scatterings of white people, and I realized that, of course, many of the people, African American, worked for these white farmers that had, the larger properties and stuff, and including myself when I went down there and lived with RL in '82. But anyway, in that time, in '78, I had to say goodbye to my friends, and I exchanged addresses with Curtis Abram, who later became a reverend. That's why I keep calling him Reverend, when he got the call from God, but that's another story. And so there it was. I left, got in my car with my dog, and I was driving. I realized I have no idea where I am. I don't know where's the highway to where's the road to Atlanta, And so I saw a kid, a young black kid, maybe 12 years old, walking, and I pulled over, and I drove by. I guess I drove by him or something. Anyway, I tried to ask him, and only, if he knew where the road to highway was or something. And he just took off running. And I don't know if it was myself with my stubby beard and my dog, or just being white. I don't know. But he was scared, and it kind of made me feel kind of crummy, But I get it, sure. But still, I felt kind of crummy. And on that feeling, I found my way to the road to Atlanta. And, it took a few hours to get rid of that kind of crummy feeling. It made me realize, how sad, that people, they grow up. I can hear his parents saying, if any white people come around you, just run. And I don't blame them. Because, dogs and white people, they got a bad reputation in the South to the African American. So, anyway, that's an R.L. Burnside, so close to, on meeting him, story. And I thank you for listening. And I hope you have a good morning, good night, or good afternoon, wherever you are. Bye-bye.